Into the mic. Hey everybody, this is Sage Melodee, and I am at Taft Street Winery, and I've got Mike Martini here. We're going to talk to him. You know, because I'm in the wine country, this is my old stomping grounds. I used to pick apples here in the summertime, and now it's a full-on winery here in Sebastopol. Taft Street is a wonderful place, and I've got Mike Martini. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Getting a little tired. We're at the pinnacle of the harvest here, so we're running 16-hour days. The fruit's coming in. It's in great shape. We have an incredible crew, and we're getting through it, but it does get a little old.
Mike, you know what's really cool? Is you were the mayor of Santa Rosa.
I was the mayor of Santa Rosa. I tell people I has been. I'm a has-been. I has been the mayor. Although I will tell you, I served 11 years on the Santa Rosa City Council. Before that, I was on the Santa Rosa Planning Commission.
Very cool,
I served 2 years as mayor. It was a truly wonderful experience and humbling in many respects. I'm a sick man. I love public policy. I'm very passionate about it.
Good for you.
But I really, truly enjoy and encouraged by community. And yes, we have our squabbles, and yes, we have our issues that we have to work our way through. But for the most part, the majority of people are there to help. And we saw that during the fires. We've seen that in many other instances where neighborhoods come together and they help one another. There's a couple issues we've still got to deal with, but I always tell people, you know, if you're really upset with California, go take a vacation in Aleppo, Syria, and it kind of puts things back in perspective.
You are so right. And I've got to tell you, you know, I've heard a lot of stuff about the fires, and I know everybody came together. That's wonderful. And did it affect your crops or anything? Or?
It did not.
Awesome.
You know, there were issues. I think it was 2008, the fires up in Mendocino. There's a thing referred to as smoke taint in the grapes.
Yeah.
A lot of people saw that during those fires. The fires of 2017, the Tubbs fire here in Sonoma County, for the most part, 99% of the grapes had already been harvested. What we did find, however, that I think is quite interesting is the vineyards themselves actually act as a fire break. Vineyards won't necessarily burn, and a lot of the fuel that fueled the fire, dry grasses, dry trees, we were coming through the end of a drought, but the vineyards are quite verdant, they're green, and they acted as fire breaks, and those properties surrounded by vineyards are actually fared pretty well.
That is so cool. And so let's talk a little bit about Taft Street. I saw that it started in 1980. Is that
1982 was when we moved up to Sonoma County and was formally bonded. But the winery started in 1979.
Right.
Actually, I have to be careful here. The bootlegging started in 1979. The good news is the term limits have expired on everything. But we started in a garage on. It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
But I will here to tell you the best wine you will ever consume is the wine that you are drinking with good friends, good conversation, and it's free.
Come on.
No, that's the wine.
Were the days.
Those are the days. So we would get together, and on any given night, there would be 5 of us, 10 of us, 50 of us. Mike Tierney would do some cooking. I actually was a home brewer initially, and I'd make some beer. John was the winemaker.
Cool.
There was a hot tub involved.
Hey.
Oh, no. And, again, the statute of limitations has expired. We're not going.
We just high-fived.
What's that old line about, people who say they lived through the 60s and 70s?
That's me.
Yeah, no. If you remember it, you didn't live through the 60s and 70s. That's the deal. So the memories are hazy. But we started in a garage. And as I said, everybody said we should become commercial. And I would suggest that it just takes money, and the conversation, of course, would come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Until one fateful day, a guy said, well, how much money do you think? I threw out a number, said, let's start a winery. That's how much thought went into it.
Wow.
We just said, no, we're going to push forward. The secret to our success, we've been now in business almost 40 harvests.
Wow.
The secret to our success is an incredible blend of passion and ignorance.
There you go.
Passion keeps us going, and ignorance doesn't let us know when it's time to stop.
I I love it, Mike. Give me 5 on that.
That's the way we've operated. And, you know, our measure of success is that we're still here.
Yeah.
And the values that we had in 1982 are still the same values we have today. And that is, we need to be having fun.
Yeah.
We have an incredible staff here. We believe that, you know, work is work, but it also needs to be enjoyable.
Right.
And I can attest to 40 plus years of doing this and saying, Yahoo, this is a great thing to do.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. I'm kind of jealous, Mike, because it is fun, but hard work can be fun. But if it's your passion, you're going to do it.
Well, there's an interesting side story. My son, at about 12, I put him on the bottling line, and after 2 days on the line, he came to me and said, you know, Mike, this job really stinks. I'll never, ever, ever have anything to do with this business. And I said, you know, Jake, I'm your dad. And as a dad, I'm here to encourage you to find your own passion in life and not to have or expect or think that you're going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he was going to be a doctor, and he was going to have his Learjet by 27.
Right.
You know, he went to college over at UC Davis. After college, everybody has to live in a metropolitan area because it's really hip and cool. So he moved to San Francisco while getting ready to take the MCATs and go to med school.
Yeah.
Got picked up by a bank. Decided that accounting was way easier than organic chemistry.
Okay.
And decided that was his path until the recession of 2008, 2009 hit. He was laid off, but they put him through an MBA program. It turns out there's 2 jobs that he and his friends all wanted, and they either wanted to be the head of marketing for a Google or a Google-like company,
that's $500,000
or he wanted to work for a winery. And in 2011, it came full circle.
Wow.
And he came and joined me here in a company that I helped start, and he's taking over. And there's nothing, Mayor, the winery, there's nothing I'm more proud of than my son and the way that he has come and he's joined me here at the winery.
Yeah.
Spent the first year telling me how stupid I was. And then now realizes how difficult this thing is. And he comes to me and asks how I get through the day. But it's great to see. And that's the other part. You know, I talked about our values being fun.
Yeah.
The other piece of it is family.
Yes.
We use a definition for family that's very broad. It's not just blood relations.
Right.
But I believe that all of the people that work with me here at Taft Street are part of a family.
Come on.
And, you know, we get together, we eat together, we laugh together. Occasionally we moan and groan together, but we're together in it. And I think that kind of environment makes getting out of bed a little bit easier.
You know, Mike, that's really awesome that you said that, because it takes a family to make a creation like this. So, and I want to talk to you about that word, garagiste. No.
Garagiste.
Garagiste.
Garagiste is a phrase, a word that was coined by some men and women in the Bordeaux region of France.
Okay.
And what they did was they started making wine in industrial parks. Their whole issue was it was about the wine. Wine did not need to be made in a chateau, a fancy vineyard, all of those kinds of things. Well, we started in a garage, and we heard that term and adopted it for ourselves. A lot of other people have adopted it as well, and we actually thought about it. We did not want to trademark it because we believe very strongly in the garagiste mentality.
Very cool.
And there's many reasons people find themselves drawn to the wine community, to the wine production. For us, it's about the wines, it's about the family, and it's about the fun. The concept of garagiste just fits our mentality more than anything else.
For some reason, I don't know why I thought it was like a gangster thing, you know, because you guys did the garage, right? I was like, oh, garage justice. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about your wine. I know you guys specialize in a Pinot Noir and also Chardonnay.
So we are located in the Russian River Valley of Sonoma County, and that's probably one of the cooler appellations in Sonoma County. Carneros has a lot of influence from the Bay, so they too are cool. But we get cooling from the Pacific Ocean. The fog rolls in every afternoon, follows the Russian River, spreads around. So we'll have very warm days during the ripening season, but very cool nights. I mean, it'll drop 20, 30 degrees in the span of 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
That kind of temperature is really good for the varietals of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Okay. I will tell you, however, that when we started the winery in 1982, our desire was to be a Pinot Noir Chardonnay house. But in 1982, you could not give away Pinot Noir.
Really?
It was grown in the wrong places. The clones weren't quite right. People's expectations weren't there. But over the years, a number of incredible individuals like Mary Edwards and Eric Sussman, Dan Costa, William Selliam, started looking at Pinot Noir, choosing the right kind of clones and planting them in the right area. People like Guy Davis, they really took a look at how to shepherd this grape through. And this region now is producing some truly world-class Pinot Noirs. It helped that they made a movie, Sideways, which I think the only really good scene is when the one woman just beats the heck out of the guy with the motorcycle because he deserved it. But it helped, people's awareness of Pinot Noir, and really helped grow it. But as I said, it's the region and it's the passion of a handful of growers who have really shepherded Pinot Noir through. In the case of Chardonnay, it's always been there. When we started in, as I said, 82, we were producing Chardonnays, the Russian River Valley with its cool climate. The wines come out with a relatively higher acidity, some really pleasant green apple. The fruit comes forward. A lot of people will allow a portion of the wine to go through malolactic to give it a little bit of richness. But the Russian River shies away from complete malolactic on the Chardonnays because I think it's a little bit overpowering. So you want that balance of the fruit. You want a little bit of oak flavors in there. You don't want it over oaked. You want a little bit of the malolactic fermentation to get that richness. And together, I think they make some incredible wines. And it certainly kept us in business over the years. In addition to those two varietals, the other varietal that works really well in the Russian River Valley is Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, okay.
So for a lot of people, I think they tire of Chardonnay, although it's still the queen of white wines. It's still the predominant wine. But they're looking, as everybody does, as you drink wines and you taste wines, your palate changes. You look for different things. You're willing to experiment. And that's one of the really encouraging things about this business, because people are always kind of growing and evolving about what they're drinking. So they may start with a relatively sweet white wine, and then they progress to a big jammy Zinfandel, over time. Well, same thing with Sauvignon Blanc. People might tire a little bit of Chardonnay, so they look around, what else in white wines are out there? So they'll look to things like Sauvignon Blanc, which goes great in this region, maybe a Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, which is what it's called in Italy. A Grenache Blanc is another white wine that we're seeing come back a lot. So it's really kind of neat to see that evolution of palates and what the marketplace is doing.
Yeah. Well, being out here too, I've got to tell you, the vegetables, everything is growing so beautifully. It almost makes me want to move back from Vegas. Oh, you didn't hear me say that though. But let's talk a little bit about your tasting room. So how does that work, Mike?
So tasting rooms are integral to small wineries, and we are a small winery. There are now over 500 wineries in Sonoma County alone.
That's amazing. Which
is amazing. And they're all owned and operated by an incredible group of men and women who are passionate about what they're doing. So how you ask yourself, does winery survive in that kind of environment? Well, it survives for two major reasons. One is the consumer. And the consumer is, as I just explained, is always looking for something new. And as we move from baby boomers to Gen X to millennials, that shifts. Baby boomers would go to tasting rooms. They'll hit 5 tasting rooms a day, buy a case of wine at each one of them. But baby boomers are getting old, and their doctors are telling them to slow down and not to drink as much. The good news is baby boomers often ignore their doctors, so thank you very much for that. Generation X, they're finding their stride now. Their families are getting older. Their disposable income is getting a little bit better. They're looking around. Millennials are passionate about experience. They want the experience. They want to be handheld. They want to understand what it is that you're trying to do. So the consumer drives it, but then you have to respond. So the response is experience. The response is a story.
Okay.
Taft Street, our story is we're just regular Joes. Our issues are fun and family.
Yeah.
We're in an old apple plant. We don't have any chandeliers. We don't have corporate jets.
Right.
But we have an authenticity, this garage mentality of, you know, making the wine and making friends and telling that story. So the tasting room is relatively straightforward. We have an incredible staff. They'll talk to you about wines. They'll talk to you about the history. There's a bocce ball court. You're welcome to bring a picnic lunch, sit out, relax. We usually have great weather. If somebody's walking around and we're harvesting, you can ask and we'll show you around.
Wow.
And it's that kind of personal touch that you can do. That's what that's certainly our effort to set ourselves apart. And I think we're successful. I think people who come here, whether they join our wine club, just come for an afternoon, it's a truly wonderful, laid-back experience. It's not pretentious at all.
I know, I'm a little overdressed, aren't I, Mike?
Yeah. Well, I ask, you know, I tell people I have the perfect face for radio, and I usually dress accordingly.
Right.
People know whether or not, well, actually, people know what time my wife gets out of bed by how I look in the morning. Because if I'm up and out before she's gets a chance to look at me, uh-oh is right. But if the shoes match and the belt match, then you know my wife's been out of bed for a little while. But no, and we're fine with that. We're dog friendly.
Yeah.
You know, we want people to come out and just have a good time.
That is awesome.
That's kind of, again, we're back to the values of Taft Street.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun and it's family, and that's what we're all about.
Well, I think that's what people buy, and they also buy the taste of your wine as well, you know, so because when you mix, I call it love. When you say family and you say fun, you're talking about love. You're talking about passion. It's what you love to do, and that is what makes things successful. The other thing I do want to talk to you about is, do you sell wine all over the world, or can you ship it?
So, Taft Street is a relatively small brand. We are represented in the major metropolitan areas of New York, you know, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, Denver, Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Miami, New Orleans. But that's relatively small. And for a small winery to work within the three-tiered system, that is the distributor, it's very difficult because those networks, those distribution channels are getting more and more constricted as the big boys buy all the smaller ones. What has happened, though, which I think is an incredible change, is the availability to ship wine to individuals across state lines. And I think now we're up to licenses in probably 18 different states. So people can go on our website at taftstreetwinery.com, all spelled out, and you can purchase the wine and we can ship it to you.
Beautiful.
And as I said, you know, the states allow, we pay their excise tax, we pay their sales tax. You know, there are some limitations in some states as to the number of cases per year that you can get. But going on the website, if you're in one of those states, and it's growing every year, more and more states are allowing it to take place. There's a Supreme Court decision that kind of has helped that along. So that, if you're out of state, is certainly one of the ways that's available to ship.
Very good, very good. Now, I know, you know, I'm from Vegas. So in Vegas, there's a lot of very, very top-notch restaurants. Is any of your wine in there, or would you like me to kind of work with you a little bit on that?
You know, our best ambassadors are the people who come to visit us, so I would appreciate any talking about Taft Street wine. Nevada is a wonderful state with incredible restaurants, incredible hospitality, definitely a destination for a lot of people for vacation, but also, you know, with the whole casinos and that whole issue. I mean, you got to love Las Vegas. I mean, for years, you know, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
That's so not true. You know?
I understand. You know what people? I've been to Las Vegas a lot, and what people don't understand is they fly into Vegas, and you know, you get off the airplane, and immediately you're hit with the first slot machine.
You sure are.
You go on the old strip, the new strip, or the new strip, and it's an astounding place. But you actually, it is a incredible community that has been growing, and it has subdivision and neighborhoods and residences and people who are working unconnected to the casinos. I mean, it's still a very vibrant city. Its sports scene has blossomed. It used to be just UNLV. You're about to get, the Raiders. You've got the National Hockey League in the Knights, the Golden Knights. And people forget, that there's this whole other community in Las Vegas. Now, having said that, it is very difficult to get a Nevada distributor so that you can get into those restaurants. That is one of the more constricted states, and it's very difficult to get into. But Nevada also has the ability for direct to consumer. So the ability to sell to individuals in Nevada, we are licensed to do that. So again, it's the website, and you can just go right on there, and we can get those wines to you.
Well, that's awesome, Mike. This has been a great interview with you. My time is running out. I want to thank you so much. And let's let the listeners know again where they can find you.
So the winery is located at 2030 Barlow Lane in Sebastopol, just north of town. But you can also get all the information you want about the history and the wines available at Taft Street at our website at Taft Street Winery, all spelled out.com.
Mike, thank you so much. And your son brought me a bottle of your Pinot Noir. I'll be checking that out. I want to thank you for having me here.
Oh, I thank you. Anytime that I get a chance to talk, it's what I do. As mayor, I think I hold the record for the longest meetings. I talk a lot less, but you put a microphone, I add 20%.
I love it. I love it. This has been so great. Everybody, again, we've got Mike Martini. This is Taft Street. I'm going to take a few pictures with you, Mike, and we'll be right back.